Let's continue with the Pines twins' adventures that weren't on TV. This is part 2 of the story, so we recommend you watch part 1 beforehand. Without any further ado, enjoy!
Last time, we told you how, because of Pacifica, a monster stole Mabel's face accidentally, so Dipper and Pacifica chase after him until they arrive at a paranormal black market. But before they could rescue Mabel's face, they were both captured and sold to a monster.
In the meantime, Uncle Stan, who doesn't know what's going on, arrives at home to find Mabel watching the TV. When she sees he's there, she turns around slowly and she draws a creepy smile on her face with a red marker. Stan simply walks away, clearly scared by this.
Back in the bag they were trapped in, while Dipper tries to escape demanding to get released with no response, Pacifica's main concern continues to be her physical appearance. She reads the instructions on the bottle of beauty pills she just had stolen, and she finds out one of its secondary effects is a spontaneous explosion on her face, so obviously she can't use them. What were you expecting, Pacifica? You stole them from a crow wearing a tie in the paranormal black market.
Dipper stops hitting the bag, and once again blames Pacifica for the whole situation, telling her how her obsession is going to make them get sold as spare body parts, which isn't far from the truth. Let's not forget about the creature who spoke in rhymes and who sold arms and legs from different animals. However, Pacifica, quite depressed, tells him he will never understand what she has to deal with. Dipper empathizes with Pacifica and he sits next to her, asking her to explain her situation.
She tells him that as long as she can remember, she has been pressured by her family. She reveals her mother is a trophy wife, literally. His father won her in a yacht competition, so their love story isn't exactly romantic. She raised Pacifica by telling her beauty means everything.
We take a look at a small flashback, where we see a younger Pacifica in her bed, as her mother reads her a story and she finishes it by saying, "And the ugly duckling never made any friends because his face was weird." Pacifica is confused by that ending and she asks if there aren't any more pages, but her mother says that there aren't and she tears the last pages of her book. After that, she steps out of her room, telling her to enjoy her beauty nap because they have a parade the next day, and Pacifica just lays there, awake with a scare and confused expression.
Her mother used to tell her to always take extreme care of her physical appearance, because, according to her, people always judge a book by its cover, and that's why Pacifica needs to have the perfect cover, because otherwise she wouldn't know who she really is. This gives us a cute Pacifica scene, as Dipper tells her she should stop worrying about what other people think about her physical appearance. He says the happiest people he knows are Mabel and Grunkle Stan, and their happiness isn't based on how they look, since Mabel has chips on her hair and Stan never wears pants.
Dipper continues, saying that he hates to admit it, but he thinks Pacifica is very smart, creative and assertive, and that she should forget what her family says, because ever since he saved them at the Northwest Mansion, he has seen a completely different side of her. He says that he has seen the real Pacifica, and she is a lot more than just a pretty face. As she hears this, Pacifica throws herself into Dipper, giving us a beautiful moment to the Pacifica shippers. She also says his head isn't really that big, and he thanks her with a nervous smile.
This moment is interrupted when they are suddenly thrown out of the bag, as we find out the monster who bought them was none other than Mr. What's His Face. But eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed this already, since the hand of the monster who bought them was very similar to his. Just pretend to be surprised. Mr. What's His Face is levitating cards in between his hands, so besides stealing faces, Mr. What's His Face is also a party magician? We see they are in his living room, and apparently the face selling business really does pay, because he has a pretty chimney and a billiard table, and let's not forget he just bought 2 children.
In the wall, we can see tons of victims, like a blobfish, Deputy Dorland, Sheriff Blobs must be worried sick, a clown, a hippie, the screaming man from the Scream, so it seems Mr. What's His Face powers aren't limited to only living beings. And am I tripping, or is that actually Morty's face? It wouldn't surprise me, as this wouldn't be the first time Gravity Falls references Rick and Morty. Of course, there's also Mabel's face, who apparently hasn't been doing so badly, because she taught the other faces to do the wave with their tongues. And the face right next to her begs for mercy and to please get rid of Mabel.
Pacifica threatens the monster with a false advertising lawsuit if he doesn't return Mabel's face, but he just laughs it off and tells her she is in his world now. And here, she really doesn't wanna face up with him. Get it? Face off? Okay, leave me alone. This time it wasn't my joke, it was Mr. What's-His-Face. With a couple claps, he makes Dipper's face disappear, and he mockingly says, why have one twin when he can have the complete set? Dipper's face appears right next to Mabel's face, and the monster thanks Pacifica for helping him his collection as Dipper is screaming for help.
Pacifica threatens him again, saying she will scream so loud the police will find that place. Mr. What's-His-Face responds that things don't have to be that way because he can still give Pacifica the beautiful face she desires so much. After this, the monster twists his mouth in a repulsive manner until he becomes a perfect version of Pacifica's face, with radiant hair, big eyelashes, shining eyes, and big lips.
The monster tries to negotiate with Pacifica to let him keep the faces of the twins in exchange for making her perfect for the rest of eternity. But if she decides to fight him, she will have to face her inevitable future, and he changes her face into a grey zombie, telling her youth is impermanent. Pacifica is horrified when she sees this, but she plucks up courage, closes her fist, and she quickly throws the explosive pills at him.
While the monster is burning alive, Pacifica grabs a basket and tells Dipper and Mabel to jump into it. Mabel jumps as she's making fun of the monster, and Dipper adds this is the weirdest day of his life. Dipper puts his face back on, and they both run away from Mr. What's-His-Face. Pacifica is scared because the monster is closing in on them, but Mabel has an idea and she tells them to turn left. Dipper is confused when she realizes she is asking them to enter an outhouse, but she just asks them to trust in her plan.
With the monster right behind them, and as he says that when he gets his hands on them nobody will never find their faceless bodies, the kids have no choice but to do what Mabel said. Dipper opens the door and they both run desperately until they leave the place. Mr. What's-His-Face follows suit, and as he's saying prepare to be destroyed, he's suddenly frozen by an ice beam. Dipper screams Uncle Ford, and he's right. Ford was the one who shot the monster, accompanied by Mabel's faceless body. Ford explains that Stan called him when he saw Mabel didn't have a face, and thanks to his charade skills, he could deduce what Mabel's body was telling him.
Later, Ford congratulates them for finding the market, as he had been trying to find it for years, and he thanks them for the new specimen he just caught for his bunker. As Dipper and Pacifica stare at each other proudly. Dipper puts Mabel's face back on, making her glad to be back to normal. Everything is sun and rainbows, until Pacifica realizes there's only 5 minutes until her photo shoot and she is a walking disaster. She doesn't just have wrinkles, now she also has bumps and trash all over her body, and part of her hair is on fire.
As Pacifica sees her reflection on a puddle, her expression becomes more relaxed, probably because she remembered the words Dipper had told her a few moments ago, and so she thanks the twins for their help. Then she stares back at Uncle Ford and suddenly wonders, when did Uncle Stan become so hot? In the last panel, we see that Pacifica didn't fix herself up for the photo shoot, and even if her parents seem upset by Pacifica's dirtiness, she was clearly very happy.
Later, we return to Shmebulok, telling us how Pacifica learned our real beauty is actually inside us, and Dipper learned that the best place for romance was inside a big bag. He also tells us he intercepted some messages they sent each other after this adventure, and according to him, they are very interesting.
These messages begin with Pacifica telling him not to get any wrong ideas about the hug. What really happened was that she had monster drool on her sleeve and she cleaned it with Dipper's clothes, and she says she will never hug him on purpose. The response she receives isn't from Dipper, but from Mabel, who tells her Dipper doesn't have a cell phone, and she asks what hug is she talking about. Pacifica is surprised by this and just tells her it was a prank text, but obviously Mabel isn't going to fall for that, and she immediately asks if she likes Dipper.
With the situation out of her control, Pacifica just tells Mabel to delete her number, but Mabel ignores her and she mockingly asks her when the wedding is going to be. Pacifica continues to respond aggressively, telling her she will send her butler to break her legs, and Mabel responds by sending kissing emojis, as Shmebulok enjoys Pacifica's uncomfortable situation with these messages. And that's the end of this Gravity Falls story. Tell us what did you think on the comments down below, and tell us if you would like to see this story animated. And if you like this video, don't forget to like it and share it with your friends. On this side you can watch part 1 of this story, or on the other side we break down why Not What He Seems is the best episode of Gravity Falls. Thank you so much for watching this video. We love you all, bye!